Iowa State defeats Colorado 79-69 in men's basketball, and boy, is there a very special player in the Cardinal and Gold this season. Today on Locked On Cyclones.
You are Locked On Cyclones, your daily podcast on the Iowa State Cyclones, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cyclones, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Shout out to you guys for making this your first listen and or watch every single day. And to those of you who are here every day, you are the ones that make the world go round. I couldn't appreciate you enough. Wherever you're watching or listening for free, be sure to subscribe so we can prove once and for all that it is, in fact, a Cyclone state. A couple things we have to break down today. We're going the basketball avenue. Yesterday, all football, obviously, with the Pop-Tart Bowl and everything that's been going on. But Iowa State is now a full-blown sports university, sports school, if you will. And basketball is off and running in Big 12 play. That is right. Iowa State defeats Colorado 79-69 in their first Big 12 conference game of the year. First things first, we need to talk about Keshon Gilbert. And then obviously in the second segment, I'm going to break down the game more in detail. And then finally, to round things out, I had a couple takeaways from this game. What did Iowa State do well? And what were some things that honestly, maybe some tea leaves, maybe some little bit of I'm not going to call them red flags. I'm not going to call them that, but definitely a few things that we have kind of talked about that I want to highlight yet again, just because I think they are important. Let's go. Let's just dive right into it. So first things first, Keshon Gilbert is the next Kyrie Irving. This guy is simply unbelievable around the rim. Okay, I honestly can't even believe it. I'm looking at his stats right here for this game, Iowa State versus Colorado, 10-point win. And I mean, they're not like crazy. We've seen better numbers from Gilbert. 31 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field, missed his only 3-point attempt, 14 points, 2 turnovers. When you look at the numbers, you're like, okay, I see you, Gilbert, helping the Cyclones get the win. Without those 14 points, Iowa State loses this game. That is a true statement. Now, what we are not taking into account is I have 3 layups in store here in my little notes app, if you will. You can see the paper peeking out if you're watching on YouTube. This guy, I cannot believe it. If he gets within about 3 feet of the rim, I mean, I'm almost guaranteeing it will go in. I cannot even wrap my head around how, I guess, elegant this guy is around the rim. I don't know what word to use because it's whatever you need him to be, he will be that. Do you need him to be powerful? First turnover of the game, Keshon Gilbert takes the steal down, jump stop, boom, both feet on the ground, lay it in. Easy money. Okay, easy money. Don't even question it. These 3, though, I mean, they are just, he seems to glide through the air and simply evade any defenders and put the specific spin and or lack thereof on the ball to force it into the center of that orange rim, that orange circle that gives Iowa State points. 3 specific layups, however, stood out to me. And if you didn't watch the game, go back and just watch the highlights because these will all be in there. I mean, it's cinema. It is. If he goes to the league and plays with Kyrie, it's a nonstop highlight tape every single game. Everybody knows Kyrie is kind of famous for the jelly, right? For the little crossover action. All of a sudden, boom, inside the paint. Oh, you think I'm going here? Wrong, I'm going there. And it's always in every single time. Steph was kind of that way for a while as well. But Kyrie's known for it, and I think Gilbert will be known in the future, if not this season specifically nationally. When he gets to the league, I can very well see this carrying over. Let's go into the first example. Only 5 minutes in. Okay, 5 minutes. We're getting started right away. Okay, and I will break down the game in more detail in just a few minutes as we dive into what happened, what caused what was a result of this, that, and the other thing. Let's just look at Keshon Gilbert here because this guy is simply unbelievable and he fully deserves a full segment on this. 5 minutes in before the half, after the start of the game, 15 minutes before the half, Gilbert from the right side of the court here takes a little bit of a shoulder dive, puts his shoulder into the defender, kind of gives them that space, right? He kind of bumps him off of him. Then he steps into the space and he does one of those jump. You think you're going to go at the top of the jump, right? No, as he's falling, scoops it in. Beauty. Seems to just hang in the air. I don't see the wings, but I'm sure he had Red Bull before this game. I can't honestly believe how long this guy seems to hang. And that right there was, yeah, that was actually the least impressive of the three. I mean, it's unbelievable, but simply put, 1, 2, 3, this is going C tier. Next up, 9 minutes in, only 4 minutes later. This one, you see it and you're like, holy cow, this guy's a human highlight reel. And I hate to break it to you, I hate to spoil it, but this isn't even the A tier. This is not ranked number 1, in my opinion. We're coming from the left side now, so we're showing versatility. Okay, left side, got 2 defenders on the perimeter. Little crossover splits them. Okay, then we have a defender in the paint on the block, if you will, about on that first hash mark. So a little bit high. That means he's got space to the left. I am fully expecting at this point in the play, Gilbert just goes up with a left hand, little layup, maybe gets it high off the glass to prevent the block. And honestly, I think he had it, but clearly Gilbert did not see the same exact thing I did, and I guess that makes sense because he's playing for the Cyclones and I'm behind the microphone. That being said, takes that left avenue and instead of going straight up, kind of plants, goes underneath the rim and hits him with the jelly. We're not talking peanut butter. We're not talking jam. We are not even touching preserves. We are in full-blown jelly mode. I mean, I couldn't believe it. The way that he put the spin on the ball yet again with the hang time. This guy, at this point, Colorado's gonna be feeling like, is this Kyrie? I thought this was Gilbert. What are we? And it's every game. So I'm not saying that he just went off on one specific game here. This is every game for Gilbert, man. But the jellies, the floating little finger rolls, it's unbelievable. And then we go a few minutes. Okay, we go all the way to the end of the first half. We get our way in through the second half before we see another unbelievable A tier, top of the line, indescribable highlight. I can't even put into words this one. You need to go watch this one. This one is like I said, indescribable, but I will do my best. 3:55 left in the game for Keshon Gilbert here on a breakaway. Up 5. Cyclones up 5 here. Now, the key thing to remember is to keep in mind as we go through this play, Keshon is dribbling this down the left side of the court. He has numbers. Okay, he's got options out to his right, but no. Gilbert's feeling it. Keshon is in his bag. Hits him with the Euro to the left. Okay, so we're going right foot, left foot. Defender slides. Really good defensive stance there. Not a easy play for Keshon to go from here because you've kind of committed. You've kind of committed to getting that ball up into the hoop and you thought the Euro was going to be there. No, the defender slides. All of a sudden, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Put it in your mind right now. What would you do? Maybe a little jump away from the hoop? Not quite sure. Keshon decides, let's just turn our back to the defender and the ball, spin inwards towards the hoop, and shoot it backwards. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I instantly rewound the tape and sent it to all of the Iowa State fans that I know because I could not believe it. I could not believe it, and I couldn't risk any other Iowa State fan having not seen that highlight. It was simply unbelievable. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. Keshon Gilbert, this team is beautiful in many, many ways. And I think it is a very high caliber team for many different reasons, which I will get into later. But he brings the juice. He brings the energy, and he absolutely is a top tier talent. And we are so thankful that he is a Cyclone. That being said, Cyclones obviously beat Colorado in this game. And let's just kind of talk about the whole team as a whole. How did the Cyclones get their first conference win? Coming up right after this. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I saved a ton. Rocket Money definitely came in clutch there. I needed them big time. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. So Keshon Gilbert shines, not necessarily in the box score, but certainly in the eyes of all Cyclone fans. That's coming from Locked On Cyclones, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. But what did the team do as a whole? How did this game play out in which the Cyclones beat the Colorado Buffaloes by 10 points, 79-69? This is, I mean, really, I'm just going to kind of walk through it here. And what we have to remember, I'm going to just put it right now because I have given you the score, is that Colorado, you have to remember back, they beat UConn. And UConn's a pretty good team, okay? It's not like Colorado beat a UConn that we all thought was going to be really good and ended up not being so great. UConn is very, very good. And Colorado beat them at Maui. And yet Iowa State beat them twice. So that just goes to show not only the strength of Iowa State, but the strength of the Big 12 as a whole as we move through this conference schedule. This is a great opportunity for the Cyclones to face some adversity or face some very, very good teams before we go into the big showdown, the Big 12 championship, and, of course, the national title race that is March Madness. Well, let's take a look at it. Obviously, I mentioned it earlier, early turnover points for Iowa State, kind of what we're known for. I noted, obviously, Momcilovic gets his fadeaway action going, looking like Baby Dirk, still there, still goated, of course, looking like an absolute dog as a sophomore. And then I do have here Lipsy steal on the outside. This is one of those things we've talked about. Yes, a steal will show up in the box score on the stat sheet, but this Cyclones team, and specifically Tamin Lipsy, it feels like they perform in ways that don't necessarily appear. The fact that Lipsy got this steal just shows that pressure is always there and something that the other team, the opponent, has to think about at all times. So, yes, he got the steal, got the free points on this one, but it's something we have to remember. That's why Lipsy is so good. It's because, maybe he did only put up 10 points in this game, but defensively on the perimeter, one of the best. Then we go to, 2:45 left on the clock before the half. Iowa State gets 3 offensive rebounds in a single game, and Curtis Jones hits a 3 from the logo. I mean, this is awesome. This is the best. I'm a huge fan of everything about that. Offensive rebound, offensive rebound, offensive rebound. And in between, it wasn't like rebound shot. Like we were setting up plays in there. Huge fan. We just happened to not quite complete the task of putting the ball through the hoop. And then Curtis Jones hand it to me. All of a sudden, we're up 3 more points than we were prior to that shot. Then we've got, up 12, 2.5 minutes into the second half. But before I want to get to that, Jones hit the 3 right before the buzzer. So obviously Jones on a hot streak there, kind of our 3-point guy. I think it was like 3.3 seconds left on the clock. Grabs it, quick shot from the corner. Colorado missed the assignment on keeping that baseline guarded. Free money. All of a sudden, Iowa State goes into the half up 37-31. That's a pretty good look, right? 6 points. I like it. I definitely do. But this game stayed tight all the way to about, I would say, 5 minutes left in the game. And, I say that because Iowa State does go up by 12 with 2.5 minutes left in this game. So obviously we didn't run away with it, right? We didn't hold that 12-point lead. No, Colorado actually took the lead with only 14 minutes left in the game. So you do the math there, and that's like 2 minutes. That's like roughly 2 minutes, 4 minutes, I guess, 3.5 minutes. And all of a sudden, Iowa State goes from up 12 to down 1. Okay, that's not a good look. However, I'm looking at this in the way that, yes, Iowa State is not going to score 15 million points every game and win and pitch a shutout, win 15 million to 0. They can handle adversity. They actually go down with 14 minutes left And one play that in particular that I picked out was with 11:41 left on the clock. Obviously, had to hit pause on the tape, get the timing on it, because I saw Taman Lipsey give the ball into Jefferson, who had been having a bit of a rough game, just not his best game by any means. Because if you go back, I have high praise for Jefferson and his ability. It wasn't his best game by any means, and so the fact that Lipsey gets the ball into Jefferson with down five with what 11 minutes left, 12 minutes left, and we convert that bucket. I just think that shows trust. I had that one highlighted. About 10 minutes left. Lipsey has a step back three wide open. I mean, looked like James Harden out there. Decides to pass on it, give it to Curtis Jones, who goes in and gets the layup. And then from there, it was kind of history. With 5 minutes left, obviously Iowa State pulls away. And to be completely honest, looking at this whole game, it was not our best game, and I'll kind of go into that more in the third segment. But 1-0 in conference play is always a good look, and obviously Colorado, a worthy opponent at 9-3, one of those coming from us. So 9-2 going into this game against a 10-1, very good, beat UConn in Maui. And this was one of those games that in the preseason kind of pre-conference play, I was like, hey, maybe this is one that Iowa State drops. We got to go to Colorado. We have to play a team that is very good in home field advantage in Colorado obviously is going to be more than most other home field advantages. It's something that you guys mentioned. Yes, Iowa State did beat them by, I think it was 28. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I want to say it was 71-99 or something like that. And yes, we did beat them once. And so what is that worth, right? Well, in football, people say all the time, it's tough to beat the same team twice. So I was like, hey, maybe if we're going there and we've given them some tape at a Maui Invitational where you're going to be playing hard. I don't know how does that look? Iowa State still comes out firing and finds a way to get it done, winning the second half 42-38, a little bit closer there. And I think part of that was due to Colorado making that comeback for a little bit, and then Iowa State pulling away with 5 minutes left. But I think that's what I'm going to pull away from this game, is that not everything is going to go the way that the Cyclones want this to go all season long. You're going to face adversity in a play. You're going to face adversity in a half. You're going to face adversity in a game. You're going to face adversity in a little streak, 3, 2, maybe even 4. That's out of order, but game stint. And then obviously the Big 12 is a tough conference to play basketball in. So Iowa State is going to face adversity in the conference slate as a whole. And this game showed me that Iowa State can take on that adversity in a game in which you're up by 12 and you understand that it is a game of runs. Yes, Colorado might come back. They might make this a tight game and or take even the lead, in which they did. And Iowa State still responded, still did what they do best, and found a way to put the nail in the coffin and move on to the next game. Obviously ranked third in the country for a reason, 11-1. I mean, this team is everything I could have ever wished for in an Iowa State men's basketball team. And I will never stop supporting them. But I will say this, there are some things about this team, and especially that in this game that I saw, that did raise a little bit of like amber flags, right? Like those beige flags that the new gen is talking about. And so we're going to have to dive right into that right after, you know how it goes, this. Iowa State defeating Colorado 79-69 is the topic of today's podcast. If you're still here, you're a real one. I appreciate you more than you know. Here at Locked On Cyclones, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Sometimes things aren't going to look the best. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. There's going to be middle of the road. There's going to be exceeding. There's going to be falling to expectations, and we got to cover it all. As I've said in the past, I don't love highlighting stuff that doesn't look great, but it's part of the job. Okay. Iowa State does defeat Colorado by 10 points. I did not think this was Iowa State's best game, though. That being said, there were some things that I did like. Okay. I certainly thought that this was a game of ups and downs and things that, honestly, I wonder, this to me is a very good game for Iowa State to learn a lot from. I think that this game had basically everything, to be honest, and is a great springboard for the Cyclones moving forward as we get into this tough Big 12 conference play. Now, what do I have written down? Good call. Good question. Excuse me. Um, really, the lack of D at times is kind of rough, and that's going to go hand in hand with my next point here. But it feels like help defense is where we can. I don't want to say struggle because it feels like it's only a few points a game. But it's just something that stands out to me because we just don't see any crashing from those corner guys. And I want to say this, like I've said this before, I am not a basketball coach. So Otts might hear this and say, this guy literally knows absolutely nothing. This is just how I am viewing the game. I just feel like the help defense is a little bit slow at times, which against a really fast team like we saw in was our last game. Oh gosh, I can't think of it. I want to say St. Mary's, but I know it wasn't that. Morgan State, I believe it was. They're fast. They were really fast, and they kind of made us pay for it. So this is something that I don't know if it'll be continuing, like a lingering problem. But it just stood out to me a couple times. Colorado took advantage of that, and something I actually don't have written down here, but thinking about the game was open looks for Colorado. They capitalized on. Looking at the 3-point percentage for Colorado, they shot almost 32%, 7 for 22. And no one guy really stood out. RJ Smith has 3 for 6 from beyond the arc, but it really was, Hammond. And what are we looking at here? Really Hammond, actually. I was going to say somebody else, but I mean, Ranchik was the only other one that hit one, but it was whenever they got open, it was just kind of free. And the fact that they're getting that wide open, I don't love. It's not like Iowa State didn't get their own looks. Momcilovic had a really nice 3 wide open, obviously, to close out the half. Jones's 3. So I'm not saying it doesn't go both ways. Like that's how basketball works. I have to approach this with a little bit of a different mindset that I do football, because your opponent's going to score. You're going to score. There's going to be some free points. There's going to be some points that are hard to come by, and that's just how the game rolls. That's just how this game works. So I have to kind of shift my mindset as we move in towards this winter season and into that February, March time period. That being said, giving Colorado that many open looks, I didn't necessarily love. Next one here, and it kind of goes hand in hand in a way, especially more with the point I made prior, aggressive defense. And it's something I've said before, and it's something that we saw multiple times in this game. We took a shot directly as a result of aggressive defense. I've got 2 written down in particular. Curtis Jones dives for the ball on the ground. Effort play. That is the type of effort I want to see from the Cyclones. So don't take this as like I'm completely against this, because the way that the Cyclones go about this aggressive defense shows effort, shows heart. So there's positives in this. But Curtis Jones diving for the ball and Colorado recovering left Curtis in a situation in which he literally did a 360 looking for an assignment and left Colorado with an open 3, as I just mentioned. Immediate, just, hey, we're here. Hey, what are you looking for? I got the ball, 3-pointer. I mean, in those kinds of plays, they're going to happen. It's a kind of an opportunistic take from Colorado there. And I love the effort from Jones, and that's a bit of a different example. I'm going in chronological order here. But overall, it is a result of aggressive defense. And that's kind of what this team hangs their hat on. So I can't like dog on this too much, but this next one is where I was more like, okay, this one was kind of rough. Literally 40 seconds later. So Iowa State kind of, as I have said in the past, I'm going to make that my next point. 40 seconds later, Gilbert, Keshon, goes for, gets the tip on, like, as there's a crossover, gets his hand in there, tips the ball, goes into the backcourt, dives for it. It's not there. Colorado making some moves, passing the ball up the floor. And all of a sudden, this is where I saw arguably the first defensive mistake. I don't know. It's Joshua Jefferson just plays so well. But this one stood out to me as like the first real absolute mistake that I saw. He kind of makes a lunge for the ball, for the pass, I suppose. And all of a sudden, Colorado has a free look at a layup. Didn't love that over aggressive take. On the actual perimeter from Jefferson there, I would have particularly liked, especially with the time left on the shot clock, I believe it was like 13 seconds. I would have liked a little bit more of a I don't want to say passive, but like staying inside a leverage type of defensive play and allowing Iowa State to get guys back in and effectively get reset as a defensive unit. Instead, it goes for the ball, and Colorado comes away with an and one play there. I mean, that's just kind of part of it. That's how the game goes. But overall, I mean, aggressive defense it's great when it works, but when it can really bite you. Okay. And then the other point I was going to make, and I am making this my next point, is that Iowa State really seems to be prone to putting the cart ahead of the horse, as they say, or kind of running on the front end of that snowball. As the snowball is going, it's picking up speed. Iowa State still somehow finds a way to get ahead of that. The key is finding a way to stay right on top of that ball as a circus monkey, if you will. I think, or the little dogs at the NBA halftime shows. Those guys are awesome. Huge shout out. The point being, two big aggressive D, basically free shots for Colorado as a result of Iowa State's aggressive D within 40 seconds of each other is a prime example of just getting like really riled up and going too fast, and all of a sudden things are out of control. And Iowa State, I don't think, plays as well in that type of situation. Not that they can't play fast. They can play fast. They can play slow. That's what makes this team so great. And that'll be my next point. But they can be prone to getting a little bit ahead of themselves. And one thing I did like was after Gilbert's kind of 360 layup, Colorado gets it right back in and all of a sudden gets a 2. And Lipsy goes, hey, puts his hand up for you listeners, puts his hands up and is like, hey, slow it down. We got to slow it down. And I like that. I like the awareness of this team. If you're going to play just, what do they call those, killers, sprints, if we're going to sprint it, I don't love that super, super high tempo offense as much as I like setting it up. This team, I personally like more in a setup type of formation. Not that they can't play fast. They do, and they get tons of points off of turnovers. But that being said, I do like them a little bit slower, playing the game a little bit slower. And Taman Lipsy, perfect showcase of that. I love that. I absolutely did. Let's get to the positives, because I think this team is so good. They are 100% in contention for a national title. I'm looking right at this number right here. Iowa State on the night shot 4 for 18 from 3, which just feels like a weird number. Like Curtis Jones had 2, a logo and a corner to beat the half, and then Momcilovic with the wide open one I talked about, and then Lipsy with a basically pull-up 3, which we don't see too much from him. Those were their 4 makes on the night. 4 of 18, that's 22%. That's not really that good. I mean, it's just not. It's like that's not a great number. You're not going to win a lot of games with 22% from beyond the arc, and yet Iowa State found a way to get it done. That is what makes this team so great. Their versatility. I've said it a ton of times, and you're probably going to have to get used to it because I'll say it over and over again. This team also always puts it on a showcase every single week, so that's why I keep saying it. There are some games where Cyclones are going to shoot 40, 45% from 3, and that's how they're going to kill you. There are going to be other games like tonight where they shoot 22% from 3. How are they going to get you? Turnovers, free points from Jefferson. Gilbert just bringing life to the Cardinal and Gold, to the Cyclones with his acrobatic, unbelievable layups. This team is built from the inside out to be very, very strong. Only 8 guys saw the floor, which is what I imagine we'll see more of moving forward. And a pretty even split of minutes besides Deshaun Jackson, who had 16, and Nate Heisey, who had 17. Deshaun Jackson walking away with 8. And the most notable stat line from Heisey being, I guess, what would that be? Rebounds, 2 defensive rebounds. That's the one I'd probably pick. And I guess he had a steal. So, I mean, nothing against Heisey. We need him. Absolutely need him. But I'm just saying, from the actual stat line there, these 8 guys are the guys. Okay. And they are very strong from, I guess, their core, beliefs, and also how they approach each team individually. How are they going to beat each team? Iowa State's going to win a national championship this year. I like it. I hope you like it as well. That being said, I hope you like today's show and our basketball-centric type of vibe, because it's probably going to be coming down the pipe quite often. Shout out the football team. We're probably going to be talking about them tomorrow because I am still reeling from that absolute barn burner that was the Pop-Tart Bowl. That being said, Cyclone fans, until next time, sayonara.